those of you that may not know everything of who we are, we'll give a quick overview of our residential monitoring program, our commercial industrial program, and then also give a little more in-depth conversation on our Smart Annunciator and NFPA 110 reporting. And then, of course, at the end, we want to provide enough time for everybody to answer any questions or ask any questions, just to make sure we get everything provided to you that you may or may not know about OmniMetrix and monitoring as a whole. So with all that said, as I had mentioned, my colleague Blair is here with me today. He's our regional sales manager stationed in Louisiana. He's been with us now for a couple years and definitely a great resource to lean on for anything that you may have over in those neck of the woods. So with all due respect, Blair, have at it.
Thank you, Jesse. And just a kind of an overview of who we are, for those of you who don't know or maybe don't know everything. We were founded in 1998, based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and all of our operations are based out of Atlanta, but as Jesse said, I'm remotely located in Louisiana, and I primarily focus on the Texas Gulf Coast states and over to Mississippi, Alabama, and everything north is my primary focus, but have customers all over the world, in the Caribbean and Europe and things of that nature. And then I have two other counterparts that kind of focus primarily on the east and western parts of the U.S. But we have three different divisions. We first initially started with power generation, and then we kind of took a few segues into doing oil and gas pipeline, cathodic protection monitoring, and even more recently, we do air compressor monitoring as well. We also have the ability to do custom engineering projects. We do a lot of fire pump systems, sprinkler systems, both on golf courses. I have a couple of customers with water pumps on levee systems and things of that nature. So pretty much anything with a control panel, we can monitor, tap into it, and get you the data that you need readily available. So our primary missions are to increase the critical system reliability. We want to give your owners of the generators as well as yourself confidence in that particular piece of equipment. That way, it's in optimal condition. It's going to run and start when you actually need it to, and we want to give you the information on that prior to when that event would occur. And over the course of our 20+ years in business, we've concluded that over 95% of the failure to starts have been eliminated by using our monitoring system. So the key components, batteries, fuel, coolant, things of that nature, monitoring and getting alerts on that, well in advance will avoid that failure to start when you have a critical, power outage. So as you can see on the screen, we do have, this is just a handful of the customers that we work with. We have over 21 of the Fortune 500 companies that we work with, multiple local, federal, state government entities, transportation, things of that nature, and we have them both, here in the States as well as on a global basis as well. So there's no bounds to our reach, and we're happy to help everybody out that's in dire need of our products. So what I'm going to do now is do an overview of our OmniView system. So that's the online portal where you can set up and manage the generator monitor units, and then I'll just do a overview of that. That way you can see it. Some of you, this may be the first time. Some have probably been using it for years, but I've got a few other tips and tricks that might be something new for you to learn today. So happy to do that. So whenever you log in, this is just a demo page that we have here internally, but these are live units that are spread across the U.S. And the default is to show 10 units, but as you can see on this page, there's 57 total. So if you wanted to, you can, with this drop down, go to 25, 50, 100, 500, or just hit all, and that'll display all of your units on your home landing page. So you can get a snapshot of every single one of your generator monitors, and green is good, red is not good. And if you wanted, you can, on this page, click the red X if you wanted to see what's going on, or you can go into that individual unit if you wish to do so. But in this case, this generator, the battery voltage is outside of the parameters. So we have a low of 9 and a high of 15, and its last registry from today shows it's at 26.5. So something's going on with that battery, and chances are it's going to create a failure to start at the next exercise, or if there were to have a power outage. But a neat, one of the most useful tools that I feel from your perspective as a dealer is to go to the GPS map all units, and then you can see on the screen every single one of your monitors. So whenever we're doing the pre-install or installing the monitors with you, we ask for the address, and this is the reason why. So you could see on your GPS screen where all of your monitors are located. If it's got a green indicator, it means everything's good. Red means it's got some sort of fault or alarm going in. And it's a useful tool for you because you can set up your dispatch for your particular service techs for the route for that day or week. And, for instance, if this was your particular area that you're focusing on, and there's a generator here in West Palm Beach that has an outage or has an alarm on it, and we can click on it and see that it is we've got a communication error with it. So maybe not critical right now. The weather is fine. There's no hurricanes in the Gulf or the Atlantic. So it might be something that when you have a tech that's routed to be in that territory on Monday, you can have them swing by and check on that. If it was a battery, whatever the case may be, you know what type of generator it is, and bring a battery with you, and then be able to make that change on one stop, rather than go out there immediately, not know what the problem is. Perhaps you don't know what generator is there, but through our system, you've already input all that data, so you know everything there is to know about it and what exactly is the issue. And as you can see, we've got current weather conditions. If you wish, you can always turn that off to clear up the screen, but a lot of our customers like to have it on. That way they can see there's a storm coming, or after it passed through, and if they have a lot of communication errors in a particular area, then chances are there might be a cell tower that got struck by lightning or something in the area.
Look, that's my packing slip. And they put candy in the box. That place is going downhill.
Just a friendly reminder, we will definitely get to a question and answer session at the end. If you don't mind, if you don't have yourself on mute, please go ahead and do that, and we'll be able to hear what's going on and open it up for questions towards the end of the program. Thank you.
Okay, so as you can see on this screen, we've got a unit description for every one of the unit IDs. It's whatever your preference is. You can have these put in alphabetical order by the name of the unit description. If you want to put it in order by lowest to highest of the unit ID, by just clicking on those column headers. So we're going to look at this particular generator monitor right here for this generator's in Boca Raton, and all the way to the far right you can see we pulled the data 55 minutes ago. So for those of you who don't know, we pull the data information every 3 hours, and that's so we can chart and graph the performance history of that machine, so that you can look at it at any given time that you wish to do so, and see what's been going on during a given period of time. So I'll jump into that real quick. So what you would do is, when you're on the screen for each monitor, you would go to View and Parameter Graph. And then there's a calendar up here. So if you want, it defaults to the current month, the first day, and then to the current day. But if you wanted to look at, say, let's look at all of 2021. So we'll go to January 1st through today. And we want to look at supply voltage. And let's look at, let's see what else we got here. See if we've got fuel level. I'm not sure if it had it, but you can hit go, and it's going to pull that up. But since we're pulling 7 months of information, it'll take a second or two to come up on the screen. And all of this information, you can export it, save it, print it out and give it to your customer, or email it, keep it on file, whatever you wish to do. And it's always here available to you. We keep it on file, accessible for you to pull like this for 2 years. If you need something to go back even further than that, we'll be able to give you access to that. But typically, if it's older than 2 years, it's really not going to have a whole lot of information available to you now, how it's going to be pertinent. So over the course of this year, it's been very consistent on how this battery's performed. There's been no highs or lows in here. If we wanted to, we can just kind of zoom in and look at a particular time. And each one of these dots is a timestamp of one of those 3-hour windows. So this information is here for you. And as I said, you can open it to save, and either print it out or save it to your PC and then email it, whatever you wish to do. And then we've found with several customers, I know that batteries are depending on what the part of the country you're in or what brand you have, 2 to 3 years is the life cycle of it. But if you have this information available, and you can kind of make a very good assumption that the trajectory of that is showing that battery is not going to last much longer, then you have this to prove to your customer that, hey, it may be a good time to replace that battery now while we're going to be in the area doing our biannual service call anyhow, to save you a trip charge, because we don't feel very confident it's going to make it another 6 months when we're going to be back out there again. So just an example of how you can use this to help you and your customers out, keep those truck rolls at a minimum, and make everybody much more efficient. So as you can see, as of 55 minutes ago, everything is looking good with this generator. I know it just shows a few items here on the screen, but you can always click on the check marks in the default, and it gives you all the parameters. So as we said, supply voltage, we set the defaults for 9 and 16, but the last value of this one is 12.77, so that's why it's green. We're within that parameter. Same thing, let's say utility voltage, 200 and 330. So as of 55 minutes ago, it was at 237. So all these things are here. We set up the defaults automatically when we activate the monitor, so there's nothing that you ever have to do. That's all done internally when we download the software at the point of activation. But if for some given reason you wanted the high alarm on the battery to be at 14 instead of 16, then we could do that. Just let us know. Just bear in mind that that's gonna make the alarms go off a little bit more frequently but we definitely recommend keeping the parameters as we have set them for you. The unit description is one of the things that we do when we set it up. It can be changed at any time in the future. Let's say you move the monitor, or the home is sold. That's a common one, and then the new homeowner wants to continue with the monitoring already. So you could keep the address the same, but change the name on it. And that's done by configure and then edit monitor. So one of the, I guess, kind of one of the most important things to do prior to going out, it's a very big time saver for you, is to go into configure and then pre-install. And it's a very simple form to fill out 24, 48 hours in advance of going out to install it. And you just put in this basic information here. And that's, you could put your tech's contact name and number in there, or put the main office, whatever you wanted to name that monitor. That way, for you internally, how you know whose monitor it is, whatever your preferences are. You know, you can get as detailed as this, where you put the address, completely up to you. And this is why we asked for the physical address, if you saw on the GPS map, is so that you can pull up your map and see where all your monitors are located. Put the control panel type, and then you would want to check this box to activate the SIM and hit submit form. So this basic information will help your tech save some time while they're in the field, because when they call our tech support after they installed it, these are questions that we're typically going to ask them, and they may or may not know the answers to that, which creates a little bit more work for you on the back end, or it has them, you know, sitting out in the field when they could be just wrapping this up and moving on to the next site. So highly recommend that you do the pre-install form as much as possible, if not all the time, to help you get a little bit more time saved in the field and service more of your customers. All right.
I lost audio. I don't know if everyone else did. I'm not hearing anything you're saying. I see your
Okay.
cursor moving around. There you go.
All right, so we're back. So this is the self-activation form. So it's very similar to the pre-install, just a little bit extra step, you know, in the process that you can do on the residential monitors. So similar info, drop-down menu for the control panel type, if it's Modbus or hardwire, if you know the fuel type, and then you can hit submit, and then it'll activate the unit. So another component to use to help save time in the field. We know the time is money for everyone, and we want to help you, you know, service and see as many people as you can each and every day. Yeah. And one last thing. So I guess the biggest thing is the messaging on the monitors. So in order to set that up, as you can see, there's a little messaging envelope here on the bottom. You click on that, and it's going to bring up this particular unit. So you have the ability, if the first time you go, it's going to be blank, there's somebody there, so you would hit add. And if you've already had somebody, whether it's internally or, you know, externally a customer, if they have multiple monitors with you, their info is going to be saved in here already. but let's just assume that they're not. And you will put in their name in the name field, and then the address is going to be their email address. So type in the email address, and the default is to have the boxes click for active. If it's an email, you use the recipient type as HTML. If it's a text, you would change that to text. And here on the bottom right, this gives you a description as to the different types of messaging. Our recommendation is to have at least one person have received standard messages and at least one person receive persistent messages. It's two different types, and here's a description of them. But basically, standard sends you everything, and persisted gives you an additional message for things that have been an alarm for a predefined period of time. So I'm going to add myself here as standard and hit update. And now it's here on the list. I double clicked it so it's on there twice. So what I can do now is I can edit one of these, and I want to change it to persisted. So just I can click persisted there, hit update, and now I'm receiving persisted and standard on there to my email address. Now let's just say I also want to get text messages. So we'll hit add again, and you can click on any of them. It doesn't matter which one. And again, because not in there, we'll put the name again. And then there's a list of cell phone providers. So each cell phone carrier has its own unique email, platform. So in the case of AT&T, it's going to be the 10-digit phone number at txt.att.net. And if it's Verizon, it's going to be the 10-digit cell phone at vtex.com. A good, here's a nice little tip or trick here for you. If somebody doesn't know, or if there's ever any doubt, because sometimes we get, if it's a different wireless carrier, we may not have the list in there, or they don't know who their cell phone carrier is sometimes. You can have them from their phone, type a text, send it to your email address, and then just, they can put test or whatever in the subject, hit send, and your email, it'll show what their 10-digit email address is. So it'll have, 678 whatever at vtex.com if it was Verizon. So that's kind of a good, useful way to do it. Figure it out, especially if there's ever any doubt about it. But in my case, I've got Verizon, so I'm going to put in my cell phone number at vtext.com, and my recipient type is text, and then I want to say I want standard sent to me via text as well. So now I'm getting standard email and I'm getting standard text alerts on this monitor. Now you also have the ability, because somebody asked in our previous session, how do you duplicate or copy these recipients instead of having to do the same one for multiple monitors if they're all the same, same company, customer, whatever. And you can do that. You can hit copy recipients right here, and all of the units that you have will pop up. So, let's just, for argumentative purposes, say this is an industrial customer and they've got 10 generator monitors with you, and they want all 10 to be the same. Well, you set up one, and then you go to the second one, and you hit copy recipients, and then you go to the third one, and then hit copy recipients, and they'll all have the same one. So if we go back to our home page, and that was access genset 1 and 2. And if we look at the messaging recipients on there, we have all those on there now. So we've got the persisted and standard email and text that we just set up for myself on here without having to re-enter all that information again on another monitor. So a little shortcut there, helps you out if you have same customer, multiple generator monitors with you. Saves a little bit of time. All right, and the last thing I was going to show is on your home page, you can configure the users. And this is different from messaging recipients. This is who you grant login access to your company landing page. So when you add recipients, it automatically have their information in here already. If you wanted to add them, you can see there's 13 pages of it, so all those people are in here, but unless you give them information on how to access it, they don't have the ability to do so. So for yourself internally, you can, at the very bottom, type in who you would want. Username is email or phone number. So I would say use email anytime. You can set the password from here, or you can leave it blank and then after the fact send them a password reset, completely up to you. And then there's different levels here. Company admin, I would reserve that for your top 2 or 3 people within your organization that you want to give all the rights to. And then the next level's down, company user, that's just your company users within your company that you want to be able to see all the monitors. Monitor config, and we've got the ability, I could send you a description of all these, but command rights is if you wanted somebody to just have the ability to remote start stop that machine. Again, that's something I would never ever give to your end users if they were insistent upon having access to OmniView. Just leave all these blank, and then they have view only access, so they can only see that screen that we were looking at for just their monitor or any monitors that they receive notifications on. So in this case, let's just say I work for your company. We're going to click all these, HTML, active, and hit add. And because we didn't put a password in there, I don't have to use a password to log in. But let's just say that, let me go to that page where I'm at. So it says no password. We're going to edit it. And it says not active. If I hit that, say, do you want to send a password reset email? And you'll hit OK, and I'll get a link to set up my own password at that point. All right. So anytime you would want a more in-depth overview of any of these items, we're happy to help out. You can reach out to any of your regional sales managers, or send us an email. We have some training documents if you've gotten them before, maybe lost them, or want a refresher on it. we can send that out. It's definitely helpful. There are screenshots of it, walks you through step by step, and can help you do all of these things. All right, so I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. And talk about our residential monitor, the TrueGuard 2. It works just like any of our products, work across all carrier brands and controller models. We currently use 4G LTE. Our default is to use AT&T, but Verizon is a backup if for some reason there's just no AT&T in that area. LTE has been committed to by each of those carriers until the year 2030. So all of our current monitors and the ones we've sold in the last 6 years or so are LTE, and will be working at least till then, if not even further out, if the carriers decide to keep that network up and running. There are 4 alarm inputs and an analog input and 1 relay output. We work on both the Nexus Evolution, anything that's hardwire, or Modbus 232.485. And the TrueGuard Pro is our commercial industrial monitor. A little bit hardier design, larger, has 4 magnets on it to make it even more stable than the TrueGuard 2. And that's the beauty of all of our products. They're magnetic mounts, so there's no drilling into anything. All you have to do is find a nice hardy piece of metal inside of the housing unit of the generator, stick it to it, and run the antenna outside, usually outside of one of the exhaust vents, and then connect directly into the controller via the provided wiring harness. So we have the TrueGuard Pro works on single systems. You can also use one TrueGuard Pro monitor to work on an MPS system. So if you have 2, 3, or even more generators that are parallel together, it only takes one of our monitors to work, and then we can distinguish which one of those generators is an alarm by just using one monitor. We also have a mobile solution. So if you have a mobile fleet, we have the ability to do asset tracking for you, set up geofences, get alerts when the generator is moving, and breadcrumb trails, all that important stuff, so you know where that asset is and it's not walking off a yard or off a customer site without your knowledge. So in addition to using LTE, we have a satellite option. So if it's a extreme remote location here in the U.S., or if it's in the Gulf of Mexico, or we even have customers in the Caribbean where cellular does work there, sometimes they choose to use satellite instead. We do have a solution for you there. And then a third and final option is to use LAN or Ethernet if you wish to do so. But one thing with it, you need to have a static IP address to it that's assigned, and I would highly recommend that it's labeled very thoroughly within that building so nobody disconnects it or makes any changes to it. But that's few and far between that people go that route, because it's the same pricing structure as any of our other monitors. So I would definitely take the added benefits of using cellular over that. So in addition, it's a little bit more robust, so it has 8 alarm inputs with two analogs and 2 relay outputs. So we have the ability to add CTs, power meters. If it's a controller that does not read fuel level, we have a submersible fuel monitor that we can put into those diesel tanks and monitor it and connect it directly into the TG Pro. So even if it's an older hardwire control panel that doesn't provide that much information, we do have accessories that we can attach to the TrueGuard Pro and be able to get a little bit more data information for you. And just launched last year, we have a Smart Annunciator. So it's a color display touchscreen annunciator. that has our monitoring built into it. So this would take the place of a TrueGuard Pro. So primarily in healthcare, in particular, they use annunciators, but this could take the place of the old, dumb annunciators. It's just a series of lights that really, unless you know how to read it, don't tell you anything. On the screen, it'll tell you that there is low battery voltage or missed exercise, and to call Joe's generators at 1-800-123-45678, whatever you wanted that to say. And it's, again, to remain consistent with OmniView, green is good, and then there's red and yellow that are not good. And you could touch on each one of those and tells you specifically what it is. So if it's a battery alarm, you can click on it and it'll tell you that the battery's at 8 volts, and they can tell you what's going on at that nurse's station if need be. But you also get the emails and text alerts to tell you the same thing, or you can log into OmniView and see that. So it's kind of a best of both worlds, good, better, best. And customers have to, and particularly in healthcare, they have to have an annunciator to be NFPA compliant, and we have the ability to meet those needs. So connects to any controller that's Modbus 232 or 485. Has to be Modbus because per NFPA guidelines, that's a requirement. So we don't connect our Smart Annunciator to anything other than Modbus. And we can, like I said, we can customize it, and just like our other TrueGuard products, there's no software to download. You install it exactly the same way that you do within OmniView, and customize it. You can add unlimited recipients, email, text, just like you can with any of the other TrueGuard products. We have 2 options. You can mount it flush in the wall to where it's recessed inside of the wall, or you can have it wall mounted where it's like a picture frame that's hanging on the wall. So whatever your preference is, just specify at the time of order, and we can send that out as needed. So pricing on it, if for some reason you just wanted to have the unit itself without the monitoring, the cost of the hardware is $12.99. But 95% plus of these that we're selling, they're going with the enterprise package, where it includes the monitoring and the NFPA automated reporting. So we can customize and set it up to where you and your customer can receive a weekly email that's NFPA compliant on the results of the weekly exercise. So there's no longer the need for somebody to walk outside with the clipboard and write everything down as it exercises. We do that for you, and it's automated and emailed out to whoever you want to receive that. So in addition to NFPA, we do have the ability to do custom reporting for any other government entity that requires you to do so. So just let us know. We work a lot with, New Jersey, in particular, our customers there, where they have clean air days that they're only allowed to exercise on. So we've set up automated reporting to send out to the customer that the days of the day that they exercise, and be able to verify with the local EPA agency that they were in fact in compliance by exercising on those clean air days only. And here's an example of an NFPA report. So as you can see, it timestamps it, just like similar to anything else that we have in our system. It has generator running, and it'll give you the results, what the battery voltage was at that time, oil pressure, coolant temp, so on and so forth. And then there, down at the bottom, is when the generator stopped and went back into auto mode, and everything is time stamped. And this is exactly what it looks like. It's automatically emailed out to you. There's nobody that has to do anything manually whatsoever, and is 100% compliant with NFPA.
Thank you, Blair. As stated before, we definitely wanted to make time to answer any questions that anybody may have, whether about our products, Smart Annunciator, our website, OmniView, and how to look at data. So feel free to unmute yourself at this point, or you can also chat with us within the meeting chat if you have a question, if you don't want to speak out loud. But here's your time to answer questions from Blair, the expert himself. So this time, go ahead and fire it away. If you don't know how to mute, you can always find your name in the list of recipients. On the top, you'll see recipients as an option, and then you can unclick the microphone with the line through it, and that should unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. While we wait on maybe people, I know some people are accessing the chat. Blair, if you don't mind, could you go back into the OmniView main page? Just something quick and simple that any of our dealers can use at any given point in time. If you look under customer support and you go to customer support forms, this will bring up options here for you to supply your company name, your name, and an email address and a particular unit ID that you may have a question on. And you can select a category there, whether it be billing, tech support, whatever the case may be. Put in your details and go ahead and hit submit, and that will automatically get routed to whatever department that you selected, and we'll be able to take care of you as soon as possible. So it's just another way to request any kind of technical support, billing help, customer support, whatever it may be. So this will automate a ticket to you, and we'll get back to you, as soon as we can. But just another way to kind of help ease anything that you may have going on that you just may not have time to talk to somebody at the moment. Any questions out there? One other thing, just in case anybody wants to write anything while we're on this page, if you did notice, you do see that 3G, 4G sunset button. As you are well aware, AT&T has made the decision that they're going to shut down their 3G network in February of 2022. So if you do have any units that are going to be affected by that sunset, and you, depending on your level of access that you've been granted, you may see that button there. And with that button, you can see what unit IDs are going to be affected by the shutdown. And then also there's a form provided there where you can request a quote as far as replacement of that unit goes. Unfortunately, there is an upgrade cost to this. However, done properly, the monitoring renewal date would stay the same that your customer currently has. So that shouldn't be any effect on that. But we're trying to make this as easy as possible for this transition. It's just something to be aware about. Again, any other questions out there? Feel free to unmute yourself and fire away.
So while we wait on that, another, useful information I'd like to share with all of my customers, and some of you may not be aware of it. If you go to our webpage and under support and then dealer resources, there is a lot of information that's available to you. In particular, if you scroll down, we have a wide variety of marketing materials that are available. We have the spec sheets on all the products. There's also some brochures, whether it's commercial, industrial, or residential. We have a little bit info on some of the accessories that we have. And then at the bottom, there are some videos, both residential and commercial specific, that they're very short. They're about 1 minute 44 seconds, that in conjunction with the video and maybe 1 or 2 of the brochures, I've had several customers that have created their own internal marketing campaigns to send out to all of their customers that were not currently being monitored, and they've been able to exponentially increase the amount of customers that they service that are using monitoring now, because it's an added benefit to both you as a dealer as well as the end user, because I don't know how many of you, whether it's a regular weather event or a catastrophe, everybody's scrambling at the last minute to try and get things taken care of. And if you're being monitored, you know that your generator's in good working order, and when that that storm event does occur, they feel confident, as well as you, that that generator is going to start, and you know who to service first. Also, if you go to the top, again, there's instructions here on how to do the pre-install or the self-activation. And then probably the 2 most important things we have are the installation guides by brand and the control panel interface documents. So by clicking on that, this, for every single one of the control panels that are in the marketplace, you have the install guide on how to do it. Now, we send out the instructions with each one, but let's just say it gets lost, or maybe you ordered you initially thought that it was a Cummins, but it ended up being a Kohler, and so you can just come here, find the Kohler Deck 550 Modbus, and here you go. Here's the install guide for it, step by step with pictures, and then also down below, interface guide. It tells you everything that can be monitored with each one of these in particular monitors. So if it's a deep sea, click on it. This is everything that's readable off of that control panel.
Thank you, Blair. Again, we'd love to answer any questions that anyone may have. Feel free to unmute, ask away, or if you would rather ask your question in the chat bar, you can definitely do that. But we want to make sure we get as many questions answered as we possibly can to make this a useful product for everybody out there in the field. I'm going to take it that Blair did a great job explaining everything that OmniMetrix does, which is not a bad thing. So, if you do think of a question later, again, you can contact Blair anytime you want. We have 2 other regional sales managers within our organization that you can always click the contact link on our page, and then it will show you who our regional sales managers are, and email addresses and phone numbers, or anybody else that you may want to get in contact with, and we'll be able to help you out any way we can. If you want to do a different presentation for your entire organization, they're more than happy to do that as well. If there's anything specific from a marketing perspective, that would be me. Again, my name is Jesse. We do custom brochures. We've done custom landing pages and links and things like that. So I am definitely here for anything you need on a marketing side to be able to support your organization and monitoring as a whole. So with all that said, we want to thank you for your time. We will get you a overview in the presentation that we went over today, and sometime within the next week or so, we'll take this recording and we'll put it on our website and or YouTube to be able to view at a later time. Thank you very much for your time, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.